Bună ziua tuturor! Doresc să urez încă o dată bun venit la București doamnei Annalena Baerbock, ministrul de externe al Germaniei, de asemenea ministrului de stat al Republicii Franceze pentru dezvoltare, francofonie și parteneriate internaționale, Crisula Zacharopoulou. Bienvenue à Bucarest, Chris. De asemenea, vreau să-i urez un călduros bun venit Ministrului Muncii și Protecției Sociale, Marcel Spătar, care conduce astăzi delegația Republicii Moldova. Îmi pare rău că, din motive obiective, colegul și prietenul meu, Nicu Popescu, nu a putut participa, însă îi urez însănătoșire grabnică. Și vă mulțumesc, dragă Annalena, dragă Chris, coprezidarea în acest trio România, Germania, Franța, platformei de sprijin pentru Republica Moldova. Am fost de asemenea onorați astăzi de participarea online a doamnei Maia Sandu, președintele Republicii Moldova, care a avut o intervenție substanțială în deschiderea conferinței, în care a prezentat
introductory speech, she presented the overlapping crisis that Moldova is now facing, as well as the issues generated by the war led by Russia against Ukraine. Today's event is a follow-up meeting for the conference that took place in Berlin on the 5th of April, hosted by Annalena in the same tripartite form. As you know, we launched this platform in the capital of Germany. Given the special relationship of Romania with Moldova, we announced it back then that Bucharest will host the second conference. And here we are today in Bucharest, gathering delegations from 33 EU member states, G7 member states, also more than 10 international institutions, financial institutions, European institutions, and UN agencies. The conference had a ministerial segment and also 5 working groups that covered the following topics: the humanitarian situation of refugees coming from Ukraine, the fight against corruption group, also energy security, financial assistance, and the one regarding border management. At the end of the reunion, the colleagues from the working groups presented the outcome of the results, and they came up with conclusions and actual suggestions, not only for the activity during these days, but also their activities since the conference in Berlin in April and until today. One of the important results of the conferences refers to creating a 6th working group dedicated to administrative reform and for public financing administration. It is a priority area for the Republic of Moldova, also from the perspective of the European agenda and with impact on the economic development and attracting foreign investments. This conference comes 3 weeks after the meeting of the European Council, when the Council decided to consider Moldova as a candidate for the accession. It is a historical decision that launches the European integration process for Moldova, and this support platform becomes an efficient and practical tool for the necessary reforms. As we know from our own experience, the accession process is very complex and implies the implementation of wide reforms based on a set of criteria. Moreover, the current context is a difficult one. The war initiated by Russia against Ukraine has negative impact on Moldova. We talk about the humanitarian crisis generated by the flow of refugees, the management of which Moldova has used for these important resources. Then we talk about significant economic losses by by disturbing the transport, the supply chains, and by impacting the export possibilities and by increasing in price in food and energy. Thirdly, we have security threats which impose a strengthening of the border management and of fighting illegal traffic. We shouldn't forget that even before the war in Ukraine started, the Republic of Moldova was facing an energy crisis. And if we look at what has happened recently in the Transnistrian region, we saw some attempts to instrumentalize this context, but which were not successful. So we have several crises overlapping that are putting pressure on the resources of the Republic of Moldova. So in this context, the support platform is relevant due to three things. On the short term, it mobilizes a consistent and articulated support for the Republic of Moldova in order for it to overcome the crisis. On the medium and long term, it supports the strengthening of its energy security, and it helps with the reforms, especially when it comes to the EU accession, in order to have a rule of law that is efficient. And from this perspective, the strategic one, the platform is very useful to achieve the accession efforts to the EU, because, as you know, in the opinion of the European Commission, there are some goals and benchmarks that involve a reform effort. This is why the platform should be used to support the reform efforts that Chișinău has to make in order to start the negotiations and to advance on this path. So the platform becomes a permanent instrument of solid nature that has a political and technical dimension, and which will constantly trigger financial resources and technical resources for Moldova, which will lead to increasing the resilience and modernizing the state. What we managed to mobilize today is a concrete contribution to supporting reform, and we can say that after we've heard the proposals and the offers that were made from those that participated in the conference today, and we continue also to count what was mentioned today. Well, in Bucharest, there is a support, cumulated support of almost 600 million euro that we managed to gather today in various forms. But we will continue our calculations based on today's announcements, and we will communicate the final number. Our message after today's conference, and I will conclude with this, is very clear. The Republic of Moldova will not stand alone in its efforts to make the reforms that it needs. So there is a firm commitment from the international community to continue and intensify the support for the Republic of Moldova, and this effort is noted in a declaration of the core chairs of the support platform that includes the conclusions of the works and the activity of the work groups. So we can hardly wait to continue our efforts. The next meeting will be in Paris at the end of this year. I will stop here now, and I want to give the floor to my colleague, Mrs. Baerbock. You have the floor.
Thanks a lot, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear Minister, dear Bogdan, dear Marcel, dear Priscilla. Thanks for having this important conference today, which we started 3 months ago in Berlin, where we made a pledge to support a strong, independent and European Moldova. 47 delegations were present when we launched the Moldova Support Platform. Today, we are happy to say we have started to deliver on our pledge, and we will not let up. A few weeks ago, Moldova took a truly historic step by achieving EU candidate status. Minister Spatari, dear Marcel, congratulations to you, to your government, and especially to the people of Moldova. We share the same values and aspirations. Moldova's future lies squarely in Europe. You belong in the European family. This decision is also a geopolitical commitment. There must be no place in Europe where people do not have the right to look to Europe, to be European. Germany will be right by your side during this long and challenging process towards Moldova's future in the EU family. Why we are investing so much in this process? Because to me, foreign policy is about making a difference when you can. When you stand at a crossroad and realize this is a historic moment, you have to decide whether you're ready to jump or not. And we jumped all together and made clear politics is about action and not only words. Due to Russia's unprecedented brutality, we may not have the power to stop the war in Ukraine today or tomorrow. But we do have the means to help a small democratic country that has just embarked on the path of reform, and to prevent it from being crushed by the effects of this war, be it as a collateral damage or as a result of a deliberate policy of destabilization. This was and this is the moment to act, and we can show that if we stand united, we do make a difference even in times of war. That is why it is so important to send a message with our Moldova support platform, not only by words, but by action, especially financial action. Yes, we can make a difference. That is why we made the decision for candidate status, but it's also why we are stepping up our direct financial assistance. President Sandu made it very clear today that what is needed urgently now are direct grants which immediately benefit the people of Moldova. I have announced today that Germany is planning to provide grant financing up to 77 million euros for development cooperation in Moldova. This includes a 40 million euro grant for Moldova's energy vulnerability reduction program. It is targeted to help particularly vulnerable Moldovan families directly. It will provide a monthly allowance for electricity, gas or district heating tariffs, as well as financial support for the replacement of household appliances. This is so important because this is what we discussed also with the ministers. Yes, energy prices go up in every country. They triple in many countries. But it makes a difference if 2% of the household's income is energy prices and then it triples. This is also hard for many European countries. But if the households are paying already 15% of their income, of their household income to energy, and then it triples, it actually is hard to bear. And this is why today we underlined again that the question of energy is a core security question, and this is why we're targeting directly at this support. Nevertheless, we saw today that in all of our 5 working groups, important work over the last months took place, and that longer-term support is needed as well. Because the truth is that we may still be in the early stage of this crisis. Let me highlight 2 points. On refugees, as many refugees may not be able to return to Ukraine anytime soon, it is crucial that we transition to mid-term integration of refugees and long-term support to Moldova as a host community, especially with regard to children, kindergarten places and schools. Therefore, the Working Group on Refugees, which Germany co-chaired together with Canada, has focused not only on support and protection measures for refugees, but on strengthening Moldova's resilience and fostering social cohesion in the long term. Germany will contribute additional funds to support refugees and host communities in Moldova. Secondly, on renewables and energy independence. We are supporting public administration reform and the fight against corruption to allow the development of and foreign investment in renewable energy. For example, we have started a project through the German Energy Agency to draw up on a roadmap for a sustainable power grid transition as a basis for a resilient energy supply. All this shows this platform is not a one-off or two-off event. It is a long-term commitment with structure and substance. I'm very grateful to our French friends for the invitation to Paris for the third Moldova Support Conference later this year, and I'm looking forward to the fourth conference in Chisinau next year. For today, thanks a lot again, Bogdan. Thanks a lot to your government and to your country for your excellent conference here today, and we are standing united in these difficult times.
Thank you so much, Annalena, for your kind words and for your very strong support. And let me now invite Chris to take the floor.
C'est bon? Oui. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear Bogdan, dear Annalena, dear Marcel, Russia's unjustified and unprovoked aggression against Ukraine and its consequences are the greatest challenge faced by Europe over the last decades. Since the very first day of this crisis, under the French presidency, the EU has demonstrated great unity and solidarity. This has enabled a great support for Ukraine, its population, but also for all countries affected by the crisis. As Ukraine's neighbor, Moldova faces a tremendously difficult humanitarian and economic situation, welcoming and providing support to tens of thousands of people displaced by the conflicts. In addition, energy supplies and food security are threatened too. That is why we decided to establish the Moldova Support Platform as the main framework to coordinate international aid and funds. Today's second ministerial conference was the opportunity to evaluate and continue our mobilization. The stakes are high, but so is our determination to support Moldova in the short and long term. The European Union has already done a great deal, both in material and financial terms, with more than 659 million euros allocated to support Moldova. France contributes greatly to this solidarity. President Macron is fully mobilized. His visit to Moldova last month was the first French presidential visit in 24 years. President Macron has welcomed President Sandu 3 times over the past 18 months. So, French aid for 2022 will amount to more than 137 million, and it includes an emergency budgetary loan of 15 million euros was signed, and another 60 million euro policy based related to reforms in the energy and the railway sectors will be signed in September. We are particularly mobilized to support the strengthening of Moldova's energy independence. Moldova's connection to the European electricity grid in March was an important first step, and our technical assistance will be very useful too. France will also continue to support Moldova in welcoming refugees from Ukraine as long as necessary. In addition to the emergency humanitarian aid amounting to 1 million euros sent to Moldova in March, and have granted 2 million euros to support operating NGOs. Through these commitments, we are demonstrating our willingness to respond to the many urgent needs expressed by our Moldovan friends. And we will continue to do so in the long term, as the President of the Republic has pledged during his visit to Chisinau last month. Of course, we will continue to provide technical and financial support to the Republic of Moldova in the fields of energy, railway transport, forestry, and irrigation. And we will continue to work with all partners. I'm therefore happy to announce, as you said, that France will be hosting the next round of this platform ministerial conference in Paris by the end of the year. Dear Marcel, let me take also this opportunity to publicly congratulate once again your country and its people for obtaining the candidate status during our French presidency of the Council of the European Union. This decision is a historic step. Of course, we have important tasks ahead of us, but we are committed to support Moldova on its European path. President Macron's initiative, the European Political Community Project, will allow for concrete and short-term cooperation and achievements. In conclusion, I would like to thank you, my dear colleague Bogdan, for your hospitality, for your strong commitment for this conference, and my dear colleague Anna-Lena, my dear colleague Marcel, that we work all together to help our Moldovan friends. You can count on the continuous support of France, but you can count on the continuous support of all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris, for the powerful support of France towards the European integration objective of the Republic of Moldova. We very much appreciate that the candidate status was decided with the contribution and during the French presidency, and as we very much support the fact, as we very much appreciate the fact that the Moldova Support Platform was launched during the G7 presidency of Germany. And now, acum dați-mi voie să îl invit cu deosebită plăcere pe domnul ministru
Now
Marcel
I have
Spătar.
the pleasure to invite Minister Marcel Spătar. Marcel, you have the floor. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here in Bucharest. Thank you. Well, on behalf of the government of Moldova, I would like to express my gratitude for the Romanian government for organizing this conference, where we have many partners of the Republic of Moldova. It is an important act of solidarity and support in this difficult context. The Republic of Moldova, just like other states in the region, is faced with multiple crises and challenges. The effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy and on the populations are felt even today. The prices to the energy resources have exploded, and most people in Moldova look with concern to the winter that is coming. The aggression war in Ukraine has caused a huge flow of refugees, and more than 70,000 are now in Moldova, and they need support in order to overcome this difficult time in their life. In this context, I'm happy to see that the Republic of Moldova is not alone. And this is why, please let me speak in English to my partners.
I would like to avail myself of this opportunity to thank you once again, Anna-Lena, Crisula, Bogdan, for the tremendous support you are offering, together with our other partners, to the Republic of Moldova. And I would like to say again that despite our difficulties, the government of my country remains fully committed to our agenda of systemic reforms, to consolidate the rule of law and intensify the fight against corruption, to improve governance and streamline public administration, to strengthen social and economic resilience as key steps on our path towards European integration, upon which we embarked at the historic European Council, which took place in June in Brussels. And once again, thank you for your vote in favor of Moldova joining the European family. Yet, as we look towards the future, we also have to face the harsh realities of the present day. the war in Ukraine has exacerbated the already precarious economic situation of the Republic of Moldova. It was caused by the pandemic and by rising energy prices, and now we see a steep increase in the cost of living. That is why we are thankful today that participants of the Moldova Support Platform have announced additional pledges to the Republic of Moldova. This assistance will help us to offset the fallout of the war and will enable the government of the Republic of Moldova to protect especially the most vulnerable groups. Allow me also to underline that a stable and resilient Republic of Moldova is also important for our Ukrainian partners, with whom we stand in solidarity. Not only is our country currently hosting more than 70,000 refugees, but we also have stepped up our efforts to facilitate alternative transit routes for Ukrainian commerce. The Republic of Moldova is also committed to enhance its role as a security provider in the region. In this context, we welcome the discussions in the working group on the humanitarian situation of the refugees and the common ground we found regarding the need to assist us in strengthening capacities to accommodate, protect, and integrate people arriving from Ukraine within an integrated approach that will also consolidate the social resilience of my country. We also appreciate the pledges of our partners regarding the consolidation of the energy sector, with clear steps towards the diversification, connectivity, and energy efficiency, but also with a very much needed direct support to the most vulnerable families, which at current prices will not be able to pay their bills if we do not support them. In terms of security, we take steps to improve our border management in response to the new challenges arising from recent developments. We welcome the commitments made today to support Moldovan institutions carrying out a difficult mission at our borders. And we were especially pleased to see the positive response to the recent initiative to launch an EU support hub for internal security and border management in Moldova. We view this as a signal of trust in our government as a credible partner. The government of the Republic of Moldova stands by its commitment to embark upon the path to transform and modernize our country. And rooting out corruption is a pledge that we made to our citizens and to the international community. That is why we are very satisfied with the discussions in the working group on fight against corruption, during which there was full agreement with the priorities we underlined for the implementation of reforms targeted at strengthening the rule of law. Improving governance, especially in the context of our new status as a candidate country for EU membership, will require more targeted and systematic interventions, and that is why we welcome the creation of a new working group on public administration reform and public finance management proposed by our partners and announced today by Bogdan. We are committed to intensifying our activity within the working groups over the next few months so as to be able to present further progress when we meet again in Paris for the third ministerial conference of the Moldova Support Platform. Until then, I would like to once again thank our Romanian, German, and French friends for their initiative to create the Moldova Support Platform and to all our partners present here today. Thank you.
Mulțumesc foarte mult, Marcel. Dacă sunt întrebări.
Thank you very much, Marcel. If there are any questions.
Bună ziua.
Iuliana Petcu from the TV News. I wanted to ask you, Minister, and also your German guest, Germany is considered the driver of industry in Europe, the engine. It is also the main economic partner of Romania. All the effects of this war in Ukraine have led to a slowing down of the economy, and some voices talk about a recession in Germany. What would be the effects on the rest of Europe in case there will be a recession?
Annalena, if you want to.
Well, this is a brutality of the war, that a war is not only one dimension being fought with tanks and weapons, but it's a hybrid war. There's also war with regard to corn and nutrition and food. It's also war with fake news, and it's also a war which tries to divide our European countries, especially dividing by social lines, but also by economic lines. And this is why it's so important for me as a foreign minister, for the whole German government, that we stand united. And when we are talking about energy, that we are looking at all the countries and not a stronger partner like Germany, for example, is doing the search for alternative for energy by themselves, because maybe we can pay higher prices, but that we look at every single of the 27 European member states, and also looking at our neighbors, which are not capable of paying the same energy prices as maybe we can. Anyhow, as you were mentioning, also in a strong industrialized country like ours in Germany, we see the effects. We also see an increase of inflation. But again, I would like to put it in a bigger picture. If there's an inflation in Moldova by 29%, it's different, the inflation than we are having. But we are trying to counter all these effects together, to support each other together with regard to energy supply. One European country is helping the other European country, and the same amounts for economic and social cohesion, to do social protection support. For example, we set up a social protection platform in Germany a couple of weeks ago with the support of 13 billion euros for the protection of those needed in Germany with regard to the economic and social consequences. Because, as you mentioned, we are all connected all together, so it's important that we keep up our economic capabilities.
Da, într-adevăr suntem cu toții interconectați și
Indeed, we are all interconnected, and Romania and Germany indeed are very, very strongly interconnected. If we look at the trade of last month, more than 35 billion euro between Romania and Germany, and we can realize how much we depend on each other, and these exchanges are increasing. We will continue today our discussion. We'll have a bilateral consultation, and we will also discuss these aspects. The solution, as the minister said, is to have a joint action, because of course we have national solutions, but the main solution comes from a joint action at EU level. And when we talk about energy, we have the instrument Empower EU. When we talk about food crisis, together we meet and we are trying to find solutions about the way in which we can transit the Ukrainian grains to the third country destinations where they are expected, so there won't be any additional consequences socially or in terms of migration or in terms of economy for the regions and for Europe. So the response is going to be a joint one. Of course, we are all impacted by this war, and we shouldn't forget for any moment that this war has to stop. We have to ask the Russian Federation to stop this illegal, unjustified, unprovoked war against Ukraine, which is hurting Ukraine, Europe, and the entire world, and of course it harms Russia. So our call that we have reiterated today in Bucharest is that the war has to stop as soon as possible. Thank you. Other questions?
Minister Baerbock, a question to you. We are talking about more support for Moldova. Should this go along with more support also as far as main battle tanks are concerned for the Ukraine?
We need support on all fronts. As I've said, if it's a hybrid war, then the answers have to be also hybrid in different dimensions. So we're not only supporting Moldova, but also Ukraine financially with regard to economic support, with regard to energy support, but also with regard, for example, with demining, because as we have heard also in the last weeks, that one of the problems is the mines all around the country, especially in cities and villages, which have been freed again, but the mines are still there. So we are supporting Ukraine in different dimensions, but obviously also military-wide, and we are in permanent discussion within the German government, but also with our partners to provide also more military assistance. As you know, the Panzerhaubitze 2000, the self-propelled howitzers are already in service in Ukraine. We will soon provide advanced precision-guided MLRS systems, and we will provide Ukraine with the most advanced air defense system we can get our hands on, IRIS-T, which is coming quite soon. But we are also looking in different parts with regard to further support of also armed vehicles. As you know, we are also in discussion with partner countries, and Spain has just also invited Ukraine to check what we can do on this front.
Mai avem timp pentru o singură întrebare.
Bună ziua, Vasile Marcu, Antena 3. O întrebare pentru toți, dar
One last question, a question for all three of them, especially Germany. If Germany and the entire Europe are prepared to face a gas crisis in case Russia doesn't recommission Stream 1, and if you expect it to be the harshest winter after the Second World War, and if there is a backup plan in case it's not commissioned?
Well, everybody is preparing for their own society and countries, but most importantly, we are preparing all together as the EU 27, and as my dear colleague and friend Bogdan has already underlined, the strong commitment of the EU Commission also with regard to energy supply is very crucial for the winter. I mean, the only good thing about the climate crisis is that, yes, we are facing big challenges, maybe the most difficult challenge since the end of the Second World War. But with regard to temperatures, we also know that probably we won't have 3 months of minus 20 degrees all over Europe. Having said this, we have to prepare for all scenarios, also for the worst case scenarios, because being prepared is better than not being prepared. Therefore, we, for example, in Germany, did not only prolong the coal power plants for 3 months, I would like to underline 3 months, because this is also a question of security, phasing out of fossil energy, but we set up the most radical law on renewable energy booster. This is also a side effect of the Russian war. I don't think that this was one of the goals by the Russian president to boost renewable energy, but we have a new renewable energy law for windmills and also solar as an obligation on new houses. Having said this, yes, we have to consider also what's going to happen with Nord Stream 1. Therefore, we are having different aspects, how we can transfer gas altogether within the European Union. We are, as you know, preparing for LNG platforms, also from outside the European Union, and we will, I underline this again, stand in solidarity all together within the European Union, that we make clear that it's not the poorest suffering the most, but that we take this challenge as a solidarity unity as the European Union was founded for.
Ok, mulțumesc foarte mult. Dacă mai
Thank you very much. If there are any other questions for the minister or for me, we have a press conference after today's consultations.
Dacă sunt sigur întrebări pentru ceilalți colegi,
there are questions for the other two colleagues, they can be available here separately. Unfortunately, the agenda will not allow us to continue right now. Thank you very much, and in the end I can say that indeed it was a very good conference that took place today in Bucharest. We put on the table the problems, we made a clear analysis of them. We also identified the needs, and next to the needs we managed to place the resources. So we've made an inventory of around 600 million euro that we gathered today in various forms, and we'll come back with details on this. But the most important thing is the transformation of this platform into a permanent instrument that has an important effect and is an important support for the reform process for the accession of the Moldova to the EU. Thank you very much once again, Chris, Annalena, Marcel. Thank you very much.